not encouraging or advising anyone to modify their firearms. This is for entertainment and educational purposes only. What's up, everyone? Ejector and slide stop fitting. Some resources will be in the description. A good page about ejector fitting published by Ed Brown. The pages I referenced from the Colt 45 and M1911 Kunhausen manuals as well. Let's get into it. Ejectors are caliber specific. It seems 45 ACP uses a unique ejector. Then 9mm 38 Super and 40 Cal share one. I've seen 10mm specific ejectors, but also seen it lumped in with the 938-40 ejector. The ejector for the smaller case diameter has a little jog in it. The 45 ACP one is straight. They will have different tip lengths, and there are extended ones that need more adjustment once installed. They will generally have extra material hanging off the back so they can be blended into the slide once they're installed. They will need a little notch cut for the cross pin in the frame. The face profile or angle may be adjusted. They will need to be checked for clearance with the slide, the firing pin stop plate, and the hammer. Also checked for clearance with the magazine with and without ammunition in it. There are different pin types and diameters. There's solid pins and then roll pins or spring pins. 1/16 diameter is the original spec. I've heard about but never seen 5/64 or 78 thou pins. It seems 3/32 or 94 thou pins are common to the STI or staccato pattern frames. Probably need to measure the hole in your frame with gauge pins and select the appropriate one. I prefer solid pins. I have had a little 1/16 roll pin break in the hole and cause the ejector to loosen up. It was also a pain to extract. It was probably shitty quality. The pin doesn't need to be a press fit. The slide will retain it once it's in there. Roll pins will be snug in their hole. You can pin the ejector or not. I absolutely would. I've heard of people using Loctite down in these holes to secure them. It can't really go anywhere with the slide installed on the frame, but it could rattle around and rub on stuff if it's loose, maybe cause some inconsistent ejection. They're commonly pinned in place. The ejectors generally aren't notched for the pin right here. That needs to be cut into it. I would never use a drill bit for this. I know with almost certainty I would break the drill bit off in the hole in the frame. The other risk is the bit deflecting off the ejector post and wandering off into the frame. I cut the little notch with a small file. It's worked well for me. I got this ejector and pin from Chile. This is one that is specific to 9mm 38 and 40. Pretty much anything frame or grip module related I got from Chile because my frame and grip module are from Chile, and it's all been fitting together really well. This is the 3/32 diameter pin that is common to the STI double stack pattern frames. It has extra material at the back here for blending. Inspect and clean up the holes in the frame as necessary. I install the ejector, hold it down into the frame with my thumb. Then I come in with a small punch and mark the post of it. So that's where I need to make my little notch right there. I have some small round files. They're tapered at the end, so what I do is I tape off where their diameter gets bigger than the 3/32 pin diameter. On the smaller 1/16 diameter pins, using a round file like this may make the notch too big. A triangular file to cut a little V-notch or a screw slot file could be used. Mark with a punch, file a little, install. Make sure you're starting the notch in the right spot, file a little more and check, repeat until the pin goes all the way through. So this is like perfect right here, exactly what I wanted. It just gets a little bit snug and I can push it the rest of the way through with my punch. You can see depending on the position of the magazine, the rim of the case in the magazine hits the bottom side of the ejector, so I'm going to clearance for that a little bit. This mag catch has over insertion stop, so it's not going to allow the magazine to go up high enough and hit the ejector right here on this corner, so I don't have to worry about that. Now I need to check how it fits with the slide. Is it rubbing anywhere? I need to put my firing pin plate in for this too. It may rub there. Running the slide back and forth will result in scratch marks anywhere there's interference. I also put the hammer in and pivot it forward to make sure it's not going to interfere with that. Clearance at the ejector, not any other component. I don't have rubbing or interference anywhere, so I'm good to go. The length of the tip needs to be checked. I will link to a great forum post about tuning the length. Check that out for more detail. The extractor needs to be installed. I'll cover extractor fitting and installation in another episode. Mine isn't fully fit yet. I just put some tension on it and installed it so it would hold the cartridge up against the breech face. Link up the slide and barrel on the frame, put a round against the breech face and under the extractor hook, chamber the round. Maybe measure all the ammo you intend to shoot through it and pick the longest one you can find. Pull the slide back slowly and stop as the case hits the ejector. See how close the nose of the round is to clearing the barrel hood. If it's way under the barrel hood, shorten the extractor tip. As it gets close, you should be able to pull the slide back and see if it ejects cleanly without hanging up. If not, cut the ejector length back a little bit at a time until it does. I gather it's best to leave the ejector longer so the case starts ejecting earlier and gets out of the way. The test I just presented, which is outlined in the forum post I linked, is a good thing to check. But unless you specifically bought an extra long ejector for a given caliber, you likely won't need to make any adjustment. Of course, you can get way into the weeds about proper ejector length. They do that in the forum thread, but I'm not going to in this video. My ejector length is fine. Well, actually it seems quite a bit short, but I can't add material and I'm not cutting it any shorter than it already is, so I'm gonna leave it. It already had this little chamfer right here, which helps the case roll off the side. Other than adjusting length, there are things you can do with the ejector tip to change ejection pattern or direction. I think it's best to leave it flat until it's test fired, adjust the tip angle if there's a problem with ejection. You can see two kinds of ejectors with different tip profiles here from page 78 of the M1911 Kunhausen manual. These would be for 45 ACP. Looking at it from the side, an angle like this will hit the case lower, causing it to eject higher. The opposite angle will have the opposite effect. The case won't go as high. Looking top down, an angle like this will hit the case further to the side, causing ejection to be more straight out. If angled the other way, the ejector will hit the case more towards the center, and it won't kick it as far sideways. It'll be a little bit more forward, maybe that 1-2 o'clock direction. When cutting any angles on the face, I wouldn't leave the point sharp like that. I would leave a little flat spot. That little point will probably get damaged or dinged up, or it'll dig into the case rim. I was using the slide stop when I fit my barrel. The only thing I really needed there is that the slide stop pin fit in the slide stop pin hole in the frame. Now I need to fit the slide stop to the frame, the slide, magazines, and the plunger at this end. Before I could use my slide stop to fit the barrel, it needed to go all the way through the frame with the slide installed. Sometimes the distance between here and here is too great, and it won't go in between the frame and the slide stop installation notch in the slide. Mine was fine and didn't need any adjustment. I need 20 to 25 thou clearance between the top of the slide stop and the bottom of the slide right here. This clearance is called out in the M1911 Kunhausen manual on page 149. I don't have nearly enough. So I need to take material off this little pad on the bottom side so it sits lower in the frame. I reckon that's what this little pad is for. I got 18 thousandths here. Now I'm going to leave that because the slide stop's going to start hitting on the frame ledge down here, and I don't necessarily want to have to take material off the bottom of this if I can avoid it. So 18 is good. I did have to reestablish some radii around the front and back edge of this to make sure it fit the curvature of the cutout in the frame right here. Now that I have the downward position of the slide stop set, I want to dimple the back face of it here so the plunger keeps it in place. There are details about this on page 149 and 150 in the M1911 Kunhausen manual. I mark it with something and dimple it barely with a ball cutter in my Dremel. If it's too deep, it may prevent the slide stop from engaging on an empty mag. Too shallow, and it might not keep it in place well enough to prevent false lockback. I install it, hold it down into place, and then mark it with a 3/32 inch drill bit. Sharpie makes it a little bit more obvious. My little diamond tip ball cutter here is about the same diameter as the end of the plunger. Slide stop, plunger and spring assembly, and thumb safety installed. It's held solidly in place in the downward position. When I insert the magazine, it pops it up out of its detent. I cut this one a little too deep, and when I inserted the magazine, it didn't come out of its detent. So what I've done here is just cut a little tail, a little channel coming out of the bottom side of that detent, and that fixed it right up. I would check this action with all the lockback magazines you intend to use. I need to check that I have clearance between the nose of the bullet and this protrusion of the slide stop. If it's too close, a bullet nose could push the slide stop up into place, causing lockback when the mag isn't empty. This is less of an issue on 9mm double stack pistols, but it's still worth checking. Load 2 rounds in all of the magazines you intend to use with the pistol and make sure you have enough clearance right here. I like to make a little ramp into the dimple location. This helps to start depressing the plunger and guides the slide stop in, which may help prevent the idiot scratch. On a double stack frame, there's a ledge here, so it's less likely to happen, but on a single stack frame, it's easy to make the idiot scratch. I've done it. Just cut myself a little slot there with a round file, beveled it. It's really just kind of like one of those quality of life, like ease of reassembly things. It just guides that plunger in perfectly and makes it so much easier to put that slide stop in. The last thing I do is break this little edge right here around that radius. So as it's coming out of the disassembly notch in the slide, it kind of gets guided into that notch. That's all for this one. Next episode should be slide component fitting and installation. Firing pin spring, and the retaining plate. Extractor, I'll test fit the optic plate and optic. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.